Hello, Fadi. We're here for the launch of the Global Labour Resilience Index 2024. Could you tell us about this launch and this index?
Thank you. The Global Labour Resilience Index has been published now since about 10 years here in Davos. And over the years, we've seen a number of shocks into the labour market, which is what the GLRI measures. Economic shocks, social shocks, technological shocks, health shocks, of course, with COVID, and of course, increasingly, environmental shocks. And this year, the report is really a call to look at how resilient are labour markets with regards to environmental shocks and what can we do about it. To step back, the methodology of the report is both looking at the structural reforms and the cyclical reforms. That means we look at the macroeconomics, we look at the capabilities of a country, we look at the resilience from a trade perspective, but we also look at short-term policies applied to countries. It covers more than 135 countries. But the innovation this year is that we have introduced artificial intelligence with the labor tool that we have, the Navigator, looking at 150 million data points and being able to more precisely pinpoint what type of job posts, job occupations are helpful and are improving. To give you an example, sustainability managers globally have been growing by more than 30% over the past 3 years. Turbine technologies have been growing by more than 24%. Now that is demand for green jobs. The challenge is not every country is preparing for this, and not all educations and labor policies are in place to face shocks or environmental demands. And that is one key challenge. The second challenge, and what we're noticing over the years, is that countries are not really evolving in the index. There is a stagnation in the reports, but this year we're seeing Switzerland still as being number one on the index.
Could you tell us about the ranking this year and a particular focus on the top 10?
Thank you, Anthony. The main logic of the index is not just to look at rankings from 1 to 135, but to look at the structural changes over time. And what we've noticed over the years is that countries are not evolving that much. There are 3 blocks in the index. A block of 10 countries that are at the top, that this year includes Switzerland as number 1, but typically the same other countries, Denmark, Singapore, and typically smaller countries that have a stronger social contract, that are agile, that have an ability to act on the labor markets fast. A second block, which is countries that have not been evolving pretty much over the years, and a third block of countries rising pretty fast into the index. Croatia, for example, is one, Kazakhstan is another, the UAE is another country. And the main learning, if we look at Switzerland, for example, this year, is that it has the fundamentals, the economic fundamentals, the macroeconomics, that the labor institutions are solid, but also the country is investing into green jobs, is investing into STEM, it's investing into a skill set to be ready for the environmental shocks. Looking at countries going up the rankings, well, they're taking risk. And it's that risk that we measure through the index, the ability to absorb, to adapt and to transform their labor policies to absorb the type of environmental shocks that we're seeing.